Today on the Mindset Radio podcast, we have Mayor Jeffrey Mutter, a familiar name to anyone in Cumberland. He stepped into office with a mission to modernize the town, strengthen our infrastructure, and position Cumberland for long-term growth. Under his leadership, we've seen investment in schools, public safety, local business development, and real conversations about the future of housing, real estate, and the town's identity. Today, we're going to get into all of it, what's working, what needs fixing, and where he sees Cumberland heading in the years ahead. Mayor Mutter, thank you for joining us.
Great being here. Thank you.
Nice. Awesome. Welcome, Mayor Mutter. This has been a long time coming. We've been trying to get this done for I feel like years
6
now.
months?
It's actually, it's funny. It's actually been like a year because when you reached out to me, I was in Burlington, Vermont, because it's right around my anniversary. And so when I was there, just came back after things, because the anniversary is December 1st. I was like, I think we're finally going to do it. It's just about a year later. So
When I first reached out, you're probably like, who the heck is this kid?
no, I knew from the campaign. So at least I knew who you were.
So let's get right into it. I kind of want to start off. So this is going to be a very interesting podcast. First podcast I've done with a sitting mayor. And I want to speak to you and ask you questions from somebody who doesn't really have a political background, but would like to know more information about politics. First of all, what got you into politics? I know you went to school and got a political major, correct? Political finance?
Well, I was a math major all the way to the end of my junior year. I forget which calculus it was, but at that point in time, I knew that I had pretty much taken that as far as I could take it. And I had a lot of political science, but it wasn't, so I ended up graduating from Providence with a political science degree, but it was not ever meant for electoral politics. I was much more interested in public opinion type polls, that kind of stuff, maybe a little speech writing, but never saw myself as a candidate. I was very introverted and still not really a front of the parade guy. So I did graduate with a political science, but I had no intention of running for public office. But the first time I ran actually was coming back. We had a softball team that was playing rec softball at Tucker Field, and a buddy of mine who I ran with was kind of in my ear all the time. And so, yeah, I actually ran for the town council in 1990.
Was it Dan McKee?
It was not Dan McKee. But I ran for town council in 1996, and I literally knew nothing. And I joke now that there's still a lot of people who think I still don't know anything either. But that's it. I actually ran in it was more a competitive thing.
Wow.
So how did you get out of that introvert stage in your life because this is not a introvert type of job.
Well, I think I do attribute it to my running, long distance running, and where that's, even though you're on a club, you're on a team, but it still is an individual sport, and
camaraderie.
You have to face demons. Some of those are your own, and but when you're running a marathon, there's the ebbs and flows of the race. So I think that ultimately gave me the confidence to enter the fray, if you will. I think that was I attribute that really to. I don't think I ever would have run for office if it hadn't been for that experience.
Really? Because that's kind of like a solo thing too. And you're out there by yourself. And while you were out there, were you kind of thinking of how to maybe become more able to and willing to be a part of that?
No, like I said, I think there was my training partner was heavy into Cumberland politics, local, not just Cumberland, but some local politics as well. And I think he just kind of talked me into it, to be honest with you. And I was like, well, I'm really not that, I'm still not that, public speaking, kissing babies type of politician. That's just really not what I do. It's not, I'm not comfortable in that situation. I do the best I can. But I think he just thought we needed a change. And so I was like, hey, somebody should run. So I did. Actually, it went to a recount. I think I won by like 5 or 7 votes. It got, it was, we went through the whole process. Then, I retired a couple of times along the way. Mm-hmm. I really attribute it to, that influence from my training partner and the fact that, you learn in a marathon or triathlons or any of those things where, there's going to be some good miles and there's going to be some bad miles, and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
So. Mind over matter.
Yeah.
Your friend must be so proud.
Well, we still are friends, so we do. It's I've been fortunate that I've had fun with it. Like even it's since 1996, there's been very few negatives. I've run into, learned a lot and got to meet a lot of great people. And we still joke back and forth, about the days going by. So it's been a great thing.
Talk about your typical day being a mayor. Like when you first got into office, what did you expect and what did you actually get?
See, I think that I was on the council for, a couple terms. So, other than I retired for one term, then I came back, then I retired again, then I was on the school committee. But in that time between 1996 and 2018, I really was never away. I did help, previous mayors and previous councilors. And so I knew how it worked and especially the finances and things like that.
So you were prepared.
I was prepared that way.
Mm-hmm.
We're a small business, family business with, 5 employees. I was not prepared for, 205 town employees and 400 teachers that, we still have, as far as the funding. So the personnel and those interactions, I really didn't have any preparation for. So, but everything else, I think when the other thing going back to the running was that it's been my experience. If you want to put your head down and you want to do your homework and you want to do the requisite work and you realize that you're not going to be perfect every day, but you stay at it. It's been my experience that it works out.
Yeah, I think fitness instills something in everybody that, just like you said, you have your good days and your bad days. Even those days you don't want to go for a run, those days where we don't want to go to the gym, you do it anyway. You put your shoes on and you just go. And if you kind of use that approach in business or in politics, it's kind of the same. It's all relevant. It's
right.
You're gonna have your good days and your bad days, but if you push through, that eventually comes out on the other side.
What they say, right? It's consistency.
Consistency. Yeah. I mean, it's my favorite word. It's my favorite word. Consistency wins everything. And you can even be bad at something when you first started it. And if you put enough consistency behind it, you'll get good and you'll get what you want. If you set your goals with consistency behind it, you will hit those goals.
Yeah. You just got to keep, you plug away. You try to remain self-aware. You work on your weaknesses, right? But you got to first admit that you have them.
That's
a
huge point.
I was the beneficiary of being on the council when I first got on the council. There were some experienced members who, I came in and like a lot of times you think you know more than you know, right? So a couple of them had to put me in my place.
No, that's a really good point, because I think that any business owner or anybody in a position of leadership, if they're not able to listen to the people around them that see their weaknesses or see where you need to change, you're not going to make it. So that's good that you were open to hearing people and say, hey, listen, you could tighten up here, you could tighten up there. I say it all the time. I like surrounding myself with people smarter than me, and that's how I attribute most of my success. Because even with Horizon, when I first started it, I knew nothing about HVAC, but I knew if I surrounded myself with people who knew much more than I did and were experts in the field, then I would have some kind of shot at building a business. I knew the back ends of it. I knew how to market. I knew how to, certain things that it takes, like the networking but I didn't know the technical aspect of it. And that's very similar to anybody in business, to where if you don't know, you got to ask, and you got to be open to receiving negative, constructive criticism.
I think what you learn is that you got to get, people have heard me say this a million times, you got to get 4 votes on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And to get 4 votes on it, you're only one.
Yeah.
So you can be a no vote for only so long. And then what you want to do is be a compelling no vote and have the yes vote think, well, maybe, not just when a yes vote isn't 100% yes, 0% no, it could be 51-49. And if you're open to, some interaction and listening to what people have to say, then you can pull a yes vote over to a no or vice versa, right? So, and on any given issue, you have to reset. Maybe I lose this one, and but that doesn't mean I'm going to lose all of them, and I don't pitch tent because I lost one. Yeah. I look back, well, why did I lose that? And it's been my feeling that I concentrate on my argument. Like a lot of times you might lose the vote, and you might, they were never going to vote that way. I always look at it like, well, what could I have done a little bit better to make it a little bit more difficult for them not to go my way this time? And you just chip and you chip and you chip. And like I say, it's, I think it's been successful, for me. So, and like I said, there's a little bit, the debate and some of the arguments and stuff like that. It can be fun.
Do you guys have debates like we kind of see on a more on a higher level? Is there an actual debates and
not as much as like we were talking before.
Yeah,
like
let's talk about the good old days.
Back in the good old days, it was like we were a show. Like I mean, people would come to see it. I remember some of the press where they would do like 4-3 votes. Like I had told you when I first won, I was on, if there were teams, I was on the other team. So I would effectively lose every vote like 6-1. And then the governor actually was on the council at the time. And then there was John Dean, what had been elected to former police officer. And so ultimately it became, instead of 6-1, all of a sudden it was, on a lot of votes, it was 4-3. Wow. So, and we fight like cats and dogs, out there, but we didn't take it personally. I mean, it was, we debated them hard, and, just because you're on the losing side doesn't mean the other side was wrong.
Right.
Right. So, you chipped away, and every once in a while you won one. And, so when you went out that night after the beer tastes a little bit better because you won one.
So you would actually go out with them afterwards and celebrate these debates.
On most nights, yes, it would get, we still joke about it, to some of the members that, still interact here and there with them. I mean, we still joke about it. We try, it was kind of even during the campaigns, they try to do everything they could to get rid of you. Yeah. And then, no, it didn't work. You didn't get rid of me.
So a large part of your job is changing perspectives then.
Well, I think back in the day, it was, I don't think it's as much of a team game as it is like obviously on a federal level. It's like it's a team game, right? It's Red Sox, Yankees, and God forbid you're ever seen on either one, on the other side. So it's not that way. I just think that there was a little bit more acrimony, but being where I came from actually was more like the legislative branch, being on the council and the school committee. So I knew what I needed to achieve a yes vote from me. So as part of now the executive, I try to get each counselor as much information as I can. And I think when you do that and you give them then you just make your case. If it's a pretty good case, you should be successful, right? I mean, if it's a weak case, I think it's obvious. I think people understand when they can tell whether or not you really know what you're talking about, or if you're just flying off the cuff. Right. So, but I think if you give people the requisite information and you present it authentically, and there's no, especially at where I am in my life, I don't have any dogs in these fights. I mean, it's like my kids.
Why do you say that?
Well, my kids are in South Carolina and in Shrewsbury, and my grandkids, and so even my stepsons are. In college and out of college. And it's like, if you don't want to put a building up at Diamond Hill Park, okay. I mean, if you don't want to fix Heritage Park, okay. Right. I mean, I'm going to advocate as hard as I can. But I mean, if you want to go another way,
why fight
so
it?
My life doesn't, and I don't mean it that way, like I don't do things to advance my life, but I mean, I fight for the things I believe in, but that doesn't mean everybody else does. And that doesn't mean, and if it doesn't get the 4 votes, I mean, I'm competitive as anybody, and I'm going to try as hard as I can for you to see it as a good idea and get your vote, but I'm not going to hold it against you if you don't.
Now, when you say 4 votes, we'll break that down. What does that mean?
There's 7 members of the council, so
okay.
You need them.
Gotcha.
4 votes on a Wednesday night. That's one of my. I say that all the time.
Is a Wednesday night just
a council
frame?
Okay, every other council meeting. So I'm like,
gotcha.
I get 4 votes on a Wednesday night. I think I said at one of the high school graduations, if 4 people on a Wednesday night tell you your car's yellow, doesn't matter what color it is, it's yellow.
It's yellow. That's
yellow.
it. It's done.
It's yellow. It's done.
So when you are fighting for the building on Diamond Hill or anything else that you're trying to do to the town, is it those 7 votes that matter the most?
Yes. I mean, ultimately, you do not get anything accomplished unless. You have 4 votes on a.
So who's part of those? Who is part of that party? Those 7 people. Is it a mix of Republicans, Democrats, and
yeah. Well, right now, so there's 7 councilors. 5 of them are district councilors, and 2 are at large. They represent the whole town. The 2 at large. The other 5 are elected in their districts.
So they have to run for,
They,
for
yeah,
that spot.
they run.
And the other two don't have to run?
Yeah, they all have to run. In fact, most of them, all but one, are actually term limited, like myself. So you can only serve 2 terms. So
How do you get termed in? Like, how does
it was a charter change back in 2018, I think. 2018, they changed it to 4-year terms, and you can only run 2. You can only serve 2 concurrently.
Got it.
Consecutively, I should say. So 6 out of the 7 councilors have been there, are now on their second 4-year term. So, and so am I. So in 2028, you will have.
So you are ineligible to run again for
Yes.
mayor in 2028.
Yes, as are 6 councilors currently.
Okay.
So you're talking
there's
about.
Wow. So there's a
lot of
whole
clean slate
new batch
there.
coming in.
Yeah, you're talking about which.
Now-
I'm not sure everybody thought about that one.
No.
when they put a charter change up there, but
Could
that
be
is
good,
the reality
it could be
right now.
bad.
I probably they don't even know about how. Yeah, I would imagine that's not something that people think about. Now, do you have people in your team right now that you're kind of, I don't want to say grooming, but getting ready to take over your position since in 20? So you said 2028,
28,
correct?
yeah. So
Okay.
3 years away.
So 3 years. So do you have somebody that's kind of willing or ready to take your place that you're kind of hoping takes that spot?
I would say that. I think there's some people who are interested in it, but I'm not actively, I don't really, it's not really something that I do.
Yeah.
But I'm not actively looking for someone.
Do you have a team that does that?
No, I think, well, there's still a Republican Party in town and a Democratic Party in town. So, there's independents.
Right.
It's generally would be the party chairperson who would, honestly, I don't know, I'd probably get in trouble for saying it, but like trash collection is not a partisan issue.
Yeah.
Snow removal, it's not a partisan issue.
Now,
95% of what you do as the mayor are not partisan issues.
Explain what a partisan issue is.
Well, they're not Democrat, Republican. There's not a Democratic way to pick up your trash.
Or a Republican way,
Republican
or
way to
Republican
pick up
way,
your
got
trash or plow the road, right?
Yeah.
It's a unison.
It's a town issue. It's
these are
it's a responsibility.
Yeah, and these are represent. I would say 95. Is there people might say differently, but is there a Republican way to educate kids? I know there's cultural things that people talk about, but effectively you need to hit certain requirements.
There's definitely ideology from both sides implemented in the school system.
I don't. That's stated a lot. Do I know that for a fact? No, I don't know that for a fact. I have a high degree of confidence in school administration. I was there when I was a school committee chair when we hired the current.
That's where you started, correct? You started with the
I
school
started
committee?
in the council.
Okay.
And then I like I say, I retired, and then I came out of retirement, and then I retired again, and then came out of retirement.
Yeah.
But I was the school committee chair when the school administration, central administration, I have a high degree of confidence, and I really don't. I think we're doing a good job, and I think the numbers prove that, and I think there's a lot of data points that prove that, and I think that I'm sure there are individual cases, but I don't think they represent the majority of things that happen in the school system.
Where do you think the Cumberland school system is at right now? I graduated in 2004. I feel like things are a lot different, and I think that's just obviously with change that comes with, generational change and stuff like that. But where do you rank the school system now from when you first got into office?
When I first got into the mayor's office?
Yes. No, I'm sorry. When you first got in '96, like when you first started coming
I
around.
think we have gone through. There were interesting times. I mentioned to you that on the council, but even on the school committee, there was some very very interesting times and happenings and debates that occurred. And it is, in my opinion, it is much improved since probably 2010, 2012, 24, somewhere in there. It is much improved. A lot of changes were made. We took an active stance in actually making them. So it is far better than it was 10 years ago, for sure.
Whose decision was that to put the recreation center in the front? The basketball courts and all that, the building where the...
That was Mayor McKee,
McKee.
the Wellness Center.
Okay. He was Cumberland mayor at the time when he did the Wellness Center?
Yes, he was.
I thought that was great. I loved that move. I thought it was much needed.
The debate then was, but we were retiring debt at the same pace that we were adding to it. So it was budget neutral. So that's what, so the governor, so on the Wellness Center, it was, my recollection, it was like $5 million, maybe $10 million. But if $2.5 million were coming off the rolls, we were added $2.5 million. So our debt service payment would stay the same. So it was budget neutral. But there was a lot of academic improvements that were necessary too. And so it caught a little bit of heat. I was council president at the time when the Wellness Center initiative kind of went through. And then it led to the science wings. And at the time, that was the biggest bond issue the town had ever taken. It was a $30 million bond issue that was more academically oriented than the wellness. I think you put it together, and it ended up being a good deal.
So when you sit down with your team, when you sit down with everybody involved, how do you decide and where do you find the money? Like, how do you know if that is a project that is affordable for the town?
The school construction that is going on in town right now is the biggest budget driver. And remember, the biggest one was 20 years ago, which was the 2010. So now you've got $80 million for the elementary schools and $52 million for BF Norton, and that's not counting the juice, right? So they're driving everything. So there really is no money right now. If you want to stay within the 4% levy cap, you can't really make any major.
Are those loans that you were just talking about?
Yeah, you borrow. Those are general obligation bonds, which are backed by.
So we're still paying that off?
Oh God, we haven't even borrowed the $52 million yet.
Oh.
So, but we borrowed. We short-term borrowed it with, and then we did a full financing of the $80 million back. I lose track of time, but maybe it was a couple of years ago. And it's offset by state housing aid, but it's still, when you're talking about paying that kind of money, in and of itself, that one payment, we had a $3 million payment that we didn't have the year before. Wow. So when you talk about $3 million, even if it's being offset by 50% by the state, so now that's $1.5 million. Yeah. A 4% levy in round numbers in the town was maybe worth 2.8. Half of that was being taken by that one issue. Wow. So when you're looking at contractual obligations, whether it be police, EMS, running the school system operationally wise, that has, you're talking about a serious impact on the general fund budget. Fortunately or unfortunately, you had some extra money due to the COVID federal money, and that which helped during that time kind of make some initiatives that you would not have made otherwise. So.
When money like that comes in federally, don't necessarily need to put it towards any certain thing, correct? Is that just a kind of something that they drop and say, hey, we're going through some tough times, use this as needed?
Well, that money did have some, there was, from U.S. Treasury, you had to, there were categories. And so the council did approve the plan, and anytime we amended the plan, the council needed to approve it. There was a catch-all, which was lost revenue, which they based that on everyone's budget going up 4%. And so if your budget...
everybody's within...
Remember, that was a national, the COVID thing. So we could have taken, theoretically, it all as lost revenue, but the fact of the matter, it was not lost. The town did not lose revenue during COVID. We have, not to get too far in the weeds, but we have an unsynchronized system in town, and we didn't know when that hit, we didn't know if tax collection was going to be seriously impacted. So we borrowed the most money we've ever borrowed for tax anticipation notes.
Gotcha.
To be ready, right? And we didn't need any of it.
Anticipating that you weren't going to be able to cover those taxes.
Yeah. The reality is that COVID had no
financial bearing.
No. Yeah. And so I did not think that I had a real problem calling it lost revenue when we did not lose any revenue.
Right.
So we put the money towards multiple things like the parks. There's some road repair.
I think that's
small
great.
Business grants, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But you could have taken it and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to plug this budget hole, plug that budget hole. You could have done it. The only problem is, when you ran out of money, now your budget hole is going to be bigger.
What does a budget hole mean when you plug
like if you were going to use it on the revenue side as lost revenue, let's say you just put ARPA funds and you put $1 million over there, and you were running for office and you want to say, vote for me. I didn't raise your taxes, and I didn't raise your taxes because I used the revenue from what was I going to do? It does happen. Yeah. It does happen in electoral politics, right? Where you make a decision like that and no one's really paying attention. They're just grateful you didn't raise their taxes. But then the next year, it's an off-year election. You don't have that revenue anymore. Now you got to supplant it with the tax revenue. So instead of it being a 1% or 2%, now it's a 4% tax rate, but you already got elected. Wow. And so you play the game, but we didn't lose revenue. So we did not use it towards that. We did some internet, so that was technology improvements. So we did some school security. So we moved it around like that. We did some food pantries. We did help with those. So that's
cool.
So that was, so that definitely helped. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. That was, that we appreciated the revenue. So, and we're always appreciative of unbudgeted revenue.
Of course.
My two favorite words.
So that brings me on to the police department. When the police department moved from across the street, were you part of that project at all? Was that Bill, right? That
was Mary Murray. Yep. We actually opened it, I think it was in January or February of 2019. But I had promised the mayor that I had nothing to do with that project, so that when we cut the ribbon, I had him.
Yeah, he was grateful for that.
Yeah,
he was very happy about that. I think that was needed. I mean, that police station was falling apart.
I'd like to step back a minute, back to the education sector. So we had a principal in the last year who was putting too many students in one room at a middle school. I don't want to say her name, but how do we know when the numbers are not correct, when there's only supposed to be 20 children in a room, but they have maybe 26 children in the room, because we need that type of funding to keep going to the school? How are we able to protect not only our children so that they're getting the education that they need, but also protect the teachers so that they're able to give the education needed to our children, and protect our school because we still need that funding? How is Cumberland able to handle our overage of children?
Well, I think contractually, right, there's a maximum amount of students. Don't hold me to this, and then I think if you go over it, then you have to be compensated for it.
Right.
Right. So I don't know. I know of that issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the veracity of that issue. I don't know. Clearly, if you have a contractual number that you can't go over and you are over, then you should be compensated. And I would think that if you didn't compensate, there would be a grievance process. So don't know how that actually, worked out, but there are guardrails so that shouldn't happen.
So if they're not being compensated, is it because we don't have the extra funding to give them, so we're trying to still provide education? Or was that just something that was just not handled properly?
Well, you don't have a choice. If you're contractually obligated to pay, you have to pay.
Right.
You can't say, I don't have any money. Unless the bargaining unit would file a grievance, and that grievance would either be internally satisfied one way or another, or there's means to arbitrate that grievance. So the thing with Cumberland is that we have the notoriety, I guess, of being the lowest per pupil in the state, or very close to the lowest per pupil funded in the state.
Wow.
And so
I wouldn't think that.
Yeah, we are. We're at 17. I don't even know, but we're significantly lower than the median.
Wow.
And as a math major, for us to get out of that, distinction, if you will, it's kind of, always use the baseball analogy. If you go 0 for April, you can hit 400 from there on. You're still going to end up at about 280.
Yeah.
Or something. So we're in a position where it'd be impossible to raise it. But anyway, it isn't. If that was an instance where a teacher or teachers were teaching more than the minimum, then they would get paid, and they have to get paid. And I have to believe that ultimately they did get paid.
Yeah.
Or there was some sort of agreement that had to be reached.
Are you talking about the teachers getting paid?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's a whole full circle because
I don't know anything about this.
I know the teachers eventually they will get paid.
Oh,
I guess
so do they
I'm
get paid
thinking
per-
There's a minimum.
There's a minimum of how many
Or
children.
I should say there's a maximum of class size. If you go over, you get compensated for
Oh, the teacher gets compensated.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they're teaching,
That makes sense.
outside that parameter.
Okay.
So, but a few teachers were not being paid for that.
Got it.
But I guess from a parent standpoint, I'm thinking, well, maybe we just need more teachers if each of these classrooms are being overwhelmed. But
That's a tough. Yeah, I mean that's leads me to a pretty good question, I guess. I mean, what do you do? And I know I've just heard that there has definitely been a lack of being able to fill those spots in certain schools. I think it was the middle school. You were dealing with a lot of teachers who were kind of in and out. And is there a need for more solid teachers there? Are you guys low on?
it might not be teachers, but maybe I feel like there's teachers that are eligible for those positions, but is it really the quality of a teacher, or is it the financing that we don't have to have more teachers?
Well, I'm pretty sure that we're at full
Capacity.
We are at full capacity this year. My discussions with the superintendent. So, I mean, I think in years past there was we weren't alone in that. There was more of a scarcity. I mean,
it's everywhere.
It pervaded everywhere,
I think
right?
it's everywhere.
It wasn't just teachers. It was construction, mechanics.
100%.
You have aging. A lot of these trades. You have people who are almost my age, and you're going to be tough to fill those spots. I think it was industry wide. If we want to consider schools as not as necessarily an industry, but it wasn't just teachers.
Us.
It was But I'm told this year that we are like full staff.
Good.
So we got married at the beautiful Diamond Hill Lodge, and I say beautiful because it really was a great experience.
It was.
Pictures look great.
It was gorgeous. Thank you.
It was. Listen, when we went to a couple of places, and when we walked into that place, we kind of just knew that was the spot for us. The staff there was incredible.
Absolutely. So helpful from beginning
Yeah, he
to
brought
end.
stuff to my house for me. He went above and beyond.
He's great, yeah.
What was the whole entire thing about not wanting that built in the first place? Why wouldn't we want a building like that built in the first place? I think I understand it had to do with some budgeting or whatever, but in my opinion, and I said this on a podcast, I said, does it take away from other businesses being able to hold weddings and this and that? Yes, but business is competitive. There's 100 other HVAC companies out there too. There's 100 other restoration companies and construction companies out there too. But I have to make sure that I do my better marketing and I provide a better product, and I'll do more business. So that was kind of my stance on it from the beginning. Why was there such a grievance with having that building built?
Well, I think I said this to you before. I'm not so sure there was that much grievance. There was a cohort. And like a campaign issue. I mean, you have to understand, when I took office, that the old ski lodge, I walked into the old ski lodge, and downstairs there was about this much water. Wow. And I say a Chucky doll was floating. It may not have been a Chucky doll, but there was a doll floating in the bottom in the basement. There was water that would come out this pump and go across the parking lot and just be ice all over it. I have videos on my phone of. I said the slogan for Cumberland should be out of order, because there was bathrooms in the back.
Yeah, the place was disgusting.
You opened. I have videos of. You should see what it was, right? And so, wow, I looked at that, and we were having dance classes. We were holding dance classes in that building
upstairs, right?
Yep. And so, Mary Lombardi in North Province had recently at Noddy Park had renovated a building there. So I went and I saw that, and I was like, we need to do something like that in Cumberland. Now, he was renting it out, but this business that the main impetus of this building was that is just incorrect. And like I said, people enter the discussion late or whatever, but this was a 5-year venture.
Wow.
We had meetings that people have been talking about doing something at Diamond Hill Park for a long time, did nothing. my political philosophy has been, if I'm going to get people, upset with me or whatever, it's going to be because I did something. I would much rather have done something than have, because you know what, this is exactly what the naysayers would have said. Had we not gone through that process and built that building, they would have said, "Oh, look at that, he couldn't even get it done."
Yeah.
And then you do it, and they go, "Oh, look at that, he spent too much money getting it done." And so the reality is, the history is gonna, I believe, history is gonna look fondly on that building, and there's gonna be multiple events there, not just whether it be weddings or showers or things like that. It's history, and that was a 4-3 vote, and history is going to look fondly on the four
you got your 4-3
who voted yes, because the reality is whether it's 4-3 or 7-0, guess what? It's still a win.
Was that a Wednesday night too?
Yeah, on a Wednesday night, and it was tight. And the building committee chairperson, made a very strong argument, a very credible argument that night, because it was a lot of money.
Did you go over budget?
And it wasn't that we went over budget. We had spent a lot of time and had planned for about $4 million, and back pre-COVID, we would have got it done.
You would have. I know. You guys were right in the middle of a shift.
Yeah, we would have got it done.
Yeah.
And so, but we had put a rec bond on the docket for the public to vote on in 2020. It's kind of a hedge bets, but it was never meant to go to that building. But it turned out we needed that to do it. And so after all this time, all these efforts, and what I always thought was a good idea was, okay, life changed, the world changed, but we still can get this done. And if you think it's too much money today, what's it going to be 5 years from now? It's not going to be less, and you're not going to have this money because we monetize cell towers. I negotiate a net metering agreement with some $500,000 up front. So that money, if you don't use it for this, you're going to use it for something else. And so anyway, it did pass. Now, for the naysayers, yes, you could have taken that money and paved some roads, right? You'll never not be paving roads. You'll never not be paving. There'll always be another road you got to pave, right? And we should have put it. You could have put it towards water infrastructure. In Cumberland, half the town is on Cumberland water. The other half is on Pawtucket water. So if you want to have money, so if you put it towards water infrastructure, what about the other half who's not on it? They didn't get. This is parks and recreation. I call it an amenity, basically, in town, right? This is a bedroom community, for the most part, right? And it matters. Our education has to be up there, which it is. We need to have these opportunities in Parks and Rec. It's what the residents count on. And with public safety, those are the things. So we could have put the money somewhere else, and everybody would have forgot about it. But we built that building, and 50 years from now, it'll still be standing. There'll be a lot of people who made some good memories there. There'll be a lot of events that happen there, across multiple ages, and history is going to look fondly upon that. And all the naysayers know it too, but they can't say it now.
Yeah.
Can't say
all
it
they can
now.
do is say, "Oh, it's too much money." Well, isn't everything? Was it too much money it was fine for us to have a cement building with water and having the dance program come in there and have people vote in there every year, and the smell and everything. That was fine. And the bathrooms with things peeling up, that was fine. They were totally okay with that. Never did anything about it. Never said anything about it. But we decided to do something about it, and then they said, "Well, it's too much." Well, I disagree.
Yeah. How much was it total?
It ended up, the bid was 6.8, and it was, so Tower 7-1.
7-1.
7-1.
I remember telling you when we first met that I'm not a Cumberland resident, but one of the huge things that made me become a Cumberland resident was the school system, just doing online searching. So it spoke highly of Cumberland just through Google searches. But we live on Diamond Hill, so when our children were playing football, we would use that old rec center. But I feel like a Cumberland resident now because I was able to drive past that whole process every single day, getting excited to watch that building get erected from the ground up. I watched them pull trees out, move boulders, take that little tiny building that we took our kids there for pictures, just gone. And so I feel like a Cumberland resident now, and I know that may seem or sound weird, but just being involved in watching something change within this town has made that change in my mind and my experience of being a Cumberland resident. So now I feel very involved, and it's small things that are like that make a huge impact, because now I feel like I have a ground to fight for our town because I'm part of it.
Yeah, nice.
So
I think
beautiful.
those things matter. You drove by, you saw this, with all due respect, you saw this old green cinder block building that you didn't want anybody, your worst enemy, to go in.
Right.
And the idea of it being the first thing you see, I mean, we've added the pump track, which has
incredible.
been a great
Our kids
success.
love it.
What's the insurance like on that? Is there town insurance on something like that?
Yeah.
There is.
It has to be, I'm sure.
Yeah, the trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you guys obviously felt comfortable enough to do it, so it's obviously not an issue that you thought much.
Well, I don't know how they felt. I mean, like they went and inspected it, but insurance companies, I don't want to get in trouble, right? I mean, that's why we have it. But I mean, the biking community had always been a part of that park when no one cared about that park.
Yeah.
So these are the things that when people, I go, well, you know what? Here's my feeling about that. When no one cared. No one cared.
And by the way, every time we go there, it's packed.
It's so full.
And I love it.
The bikers cared, though. The bikers in the back and across the street, they cared. And I was like, well, you know what? When we are now that we're going to do something at this park, we're not going to forget the people who were here when no one was here, when no one cared, right? And so, fortunately, it was Willem Cooper, who I to this day, I don't really remember how I met him, although I think it was a connection with one of his kids who he coaches. I still get emails about the impact that pump track has had on parents, kids, and you go there, you've got some people almost my age, and then you've got these really young kids, and everybody's been respectful. That was one of those things that I would never didn't even know what a pump track was.
Yeah.
Who approached it to you? Like
Willem Cooper is I call him, he's our bike dude. And he was coaching. He's like he does a lot of mountain biking. He's pretty credentialed, and somehow I don't really remember exactly, but he was coaching somebody who then said, "Why don't you meet Willem Cooper?" And Willem Cooper he's been in front of the council a couple times, and he brings knowledge of the biking community, but he also he has a presence about him. He has a competency, and he's really very, very good, and he knows how to make a presentation, and he's been a gift, because like I said, I don't even know what a pump track is.
It's so therapeutic, and it's an outlet that many kids needed. So that was, and the pickleball court. I wish it was bigger, because it's always full.
Yeah, we need more.
It's incredible. That's a great little spot.
Yeah,
too.
so there's the stage, the improvements made on the stage, the mural on the stage. It's been there's a couple of other little things to do, but that was that was a resource that needed some attention, and everything, like I say, if on my political tombstone it says we paid too much money, he paid too much money at Diamond Hill Park, I can live with that.
Yeah.
Well, because in 10 years, $8 million is not going to sound like a lot.
That's what the reality is, if you didn't do that then, it was never going to happen.
Listen, we're doing a 16-unit development in Scituate right now. We paid $1.8 for the land, and the whole project's going to be about $9 million. If I waited 5 years from now, you're talking $15 million. You're talking 2 point something for the land.
Yep.
So it's understand, and I can see where the political barrier is on the timing of it wasn't the best. If that had been happening a year early, it might not have been a big deal.
Oh, I think too. I think sometimes the process of the government can be an impediment. Instead of like, hey, here's a good idea, let's get together, boom, let's put it out to bid, done. You got building committees, you got the public, these are all processes for, that take place before you actually even get to that step. Then you need this, okay, then and the reality is that had that process been sped up, we probably would have done it a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And honestly, though it was a 4-3 vote, the nay votes I don't think were necessarily like against the project. They just thought it was too much money.
Yeah.
Which, I can understand that.
Yeah. You said as you're coming into Cumberland, it's cool for everybody to see, but I just heard about the 38 unit that you guys are building up where the Wise Guy Deli is in Cumberland.
Oh,
Ash,
is
can you
that
pull it
what's
up?
happening
Pull up Valley Breeze 38 unit in Cumberland. Yeah, it's a big 38 unit condominium or residential housing, and I saw a lot of flack about that when it was put up that Cumberland's already overpopulated. The school systems and how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Do you think that we are in the position right now to have another 38 houses in Cumberland, or do you think that's a big deal because they're making it? From what I'm reading, it's for some reason they're making it out to be like we can't have any more building in Cumberland.
I'd have to see the price, whether it's affordable. See, a lot of the new state zoning and the housing laws that they've passed allow you these density bonuses if you were to make them affordable. And affordable is based on an income formula or something. But some of these 800 square foot studio apartments are like 1,600,
Yeah,
which I'm not so sure that's affordable.
That's not. It's
But
not. For
it's
a
a
lot of
misnomer
people.
when you say affordable. I mean, so and you have a lot of people who think affordable, is subsidized housing, and people need a place to live, and so there's no no disrespect to subsidized housing, but you have a lot of people who have no clue about when they're talking about these things, they don't understand.
Yeah,
and
I
they
know.
think
It's
you
a lot
could
of the
stop
Facebook
it.
warriors. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
What ends up happening if it's by right or if it's you're allowed, not even you're legally permitted to add these density bonuses, and you want to fight them. Well, you fight them, you'll delay them for a little while, and then you'll lose. And they'll bill them anyway, and then you'll have the legal fees that you have to pay for losing the case. So I've said this multiple times too. It's like I don't know why we're spending money to fix the schools and build a new BF Norton if we don't want to put any kids in them.
Did you know about this?
Yeah, I know about the
Three-story, 38 residential building is planned to replace a long-time underage
19 deed restricted as affordable. So when you end up happening is by right, someone can build X amount of units, but based on the size of the property, they are allowed these density bonuses, which you are not. I don't want to say conclusively, but it's very difficult for you as a municipality to turn those projects down unless you have a really good reason to. And well, we think there's too many people in Cumberland is not one of those reasons, right?
Yeah.
So if this person, so you can see, they would not be building 38 units there, but 19 are deed restricted as affordable, so it has to be like a 30-year deal.
Yeah, go down a little bit, Ash.
That's the same thing with the Situate project. Some of them had to be
Right. Yeah, we have to.
percentage
We
has
had
to
to
be
make
affordable.
ours. It's a 55 and older community. There's 16 units. 4 of them have to be affordable.
25%.
Yeah.
So if you meet the 25%, you then get a density bonus. So it's the same thing.
What's a density bonus?
In other words, so say
More
this
money?
lot, you could build 6, but if you want to make X of them, 25% of them affordable, whatever, then you are allowed to build more.
Okay.
And if you have a bigger parcel, then that number,
Got it.
it goes up.
So that's how they were able to get those 4
Yeah.
right there, because it was probably just that cul-de-sac, and they made the 4 affordable, and they were able to put those 4 right in the middle.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
And
what
those
it was.
are all based on state law, and people lose track too. I mean, every municipality has zoning because the state enabled. They basically are in charge of that.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I do think the other thing I always say too is you're one of the few communities in Cumberland where student enrollment is not going down, because because people want to come here. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? If you do a good job and you have good public safety, you have a good school system, you have good opportunities, well, people want to move. So you can fix the problem real easily. Have a bad school system, have no opportunities, you'll see it go down, and then people will be yelling and screaming, everybody's moving out.
Right.
Well, it's kind
You know what? We're doing a build out type of analysis right now, and we haven't amended our impact fee ordinance for 20 years. So we're in the middle of that, because obviously as a growing town, you have infrastructure needs and things that are going to have to be done based on new people moving in, and people need a place to live. and you need to make it, so affordable housing. Even though in my world, I don't think $1,600 for an 800 square foot studio apartment is affordable. Yeah. But I'm an old, I'm old, so. But we need to do better.
And it's like the analogy too of like, I use this in business a lot. It's like, I'd rather have my phone ringing off the hook and not having a solution of being able to get those customers than not getting them at all. Right? You'd rather kind of work backwards towards the solution rather than not have it.
I think as a business person, you don't cut yourself into prosperity.
Correct.
You need to add customers.
Yeah.
Right. And because you can only cut so much.
Right.
So
and then you figure it out.
Right. And so the fact that we're doing that this is this community is a good place, and people think it's a good place to live and a good place to educate their kids is a good thing. Now, do we need to manage that and make sure that, we do the things we need to do so that that's the case in the future? Absolutely. But I've lived here all but, like I say, 6 months.
Central Falls,
this business of, a couple changes of the light at Chapel, a couple changes of the light at Nate Whipple Highway sometime. Okay. My daughters lived in Virginia, down in D.C. It took me a half an hour to get across the street to the Applebee's, right? I've seen what traffic is, right? And I get it. We have some inconvenience, and it's not what it was in 1978, but it's still a great place to live. And
Cumberland's the best. Cumberland's the best. I'm a Cumberland kid from, I grew up in Cumberland. I will stay in Cumberland. Let's talk about the inconveniences, though. The road work that's been going on lately on Diamond Hill, Mendon Road. I feel like Mendon Road is just constantly full of road work. Let's talk a little bit about that and how we can make that better and what steps we're making to make that better.
Well, I'm not going to, these are DOT projects.
Out of your control.
They are out of our control. And, I've had discussions with the DOT director and stuff, and the roulette wheel, sometimes it kind of lands on you, right? And so we are in the midst right now where a lot of these projects needed to be done. And fortunately or unfortunately, we are the ones who have to live through them. And it was just like the roundabouts and the water mains on Diamond Hill. Once they're done, we forget about them. But boy, when they're going on, it's driving us crazy.
Yeah, right? It's like labor and delivery. It's the same thing. As soon as you're holding that baby, you completely forgot about that pain.
Right. And so we are just in a point where they need to be done. And so we're appreciative that the state is fixing those. And I'll tell you, a year from now, which is probably when just about all of them will be done, we'll be like, wow, it's pretty good. And you know what? The next people are going to come in 2028 or whatever, and they'll probably run through a whole period where there's none of it. And everybody will like, oh, geez, these guys did a great job.
They did no road work,
These guys, that's what I'm talking about. So we just, every once in a while, you just happen to sit in the seat where these things happen. And like I tell them, listen, if when you're done fixing these, if you want to lay off Cumberland for a few years while I'm here, I'll be good. I'll be glad. But they do need to be done. But Mendon Road, oh my God, how long has that been going on?
I feel like before you were even mayor.
Yeah, I know.
It's been going on for a long time, ever since I've been in Cumberland.
Oh yeah, it feels like it's been liberated a little bit.
It's Dunkin',
a little bit.
It's Burger King right there, McDonald's. That whole area has been So what is the process of having to do that? You have to call the DOT, say that this needs to happen, and did they put you on a waiting list? And then
DOT has. Well, you see their signs, right? Roadworks, on budget, on time. They have a program, and you get on that program, and it's like a 10-year program, and based on their funding that they get either by the state or federal funding, they can move some of those projects. But he's tried to stay pretty tight to what the plan is. Because you know what happens. It's just like when the previous mayor has some initiatives, somebody else comes in and gets rid of all those initiatives, does whatever so you need some sort of symmetry here or some confidence that if you're on a plan that's going to get done in 2025, 2026, or 2026, that someone's not going to move it, and that it is actually going to get fixed.
Yeah.
So they do have a plan, and they do have a funding strategy, and they stick to it. And like I say, some of our projects just, this is what. These are the years they were intended to be done, and they do appear to be taking longer than one would expect them to take.
But when the DOT is involved, it's definitely out of anybody's hands.
We can complain, but.
So let's talk about some of your recent elections, right? Elections.
Yeah.
went against a well-known person in Cumberland. Brad Dean, he's a friend of mine. We met with Brad, and he kind of gave us his pitch, and we went and supported him. And I thought what he was standing for and what he wanted to do was good. Again, I'm not a politics guy yet. I don't really know. Like, it'd be really tough for me to sit down with you and Brad right now and pick a side, because I just don't know enough about I don't know enough about that stuff yet. I will, but we were leaning on Brad's side just because we knew him, and I didn't know who you were. So I think it was good for you to come out and meet us. I think that was first and foremost. We did call you. We contacted you. I tried contacting you first about the whole, because he came on my podcast about the road. I kind of wanted some feedback on the road and get your side. And then you met us for breakfast. We touched on it a little bit, and now we're here. Do you think, because you said that you had the battles with Dave Chevrolet, and, you guys went out for a beer afterwards. Do you think that there's a world where you and Brad could get back on the same page? And because I know you guys were friendly before, right?
Yeah, well, Brad and I actually had a beer not that long ago.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Awesome.
So it wasn't that. No, we never had. You want to give you a war story? I mean, I was on the council for 15 minutes, and Channel 6 or Channel 10 had me on one of their newscasts because the mayor at the time, Rick Alger, sold some land to Brad's father.
Oh yeah,
for $5,000, and everybody, not everybody, but it made big local news, and so they asked everybody to go, and I was like, literally, I've been on. It might have been my second or third council meeting. I didn't know anything, and so I go, oh yeah, I'll come down, and so the guy at Channel 6 is like, oh, this is an insider deal. You must have been part of this thing. And I was like, I don't even know who Brad Dean is. I mean, the mayor thought it was $5,000. We don't have a policy in place. It passed 6-1. I don't have nothing against Brad Dean.
Yeah, they do a lot for Cumberland. They definitely put back into the town. They help out with the fields.
Yeah. But I met Brad again because there was an encroachment issue that was gaining, and the podcast. Their podcast that they have, they said that so his father has property that encroached on Diamond Hill Park. You wouldn't know it, and it's not a big deal, but it was Jason Dean who said on the podcast that because I went to Brad Senior, that's not Senior, right? I went to Brad as the dad and said, we're not, I'm not doing anything. This is an issue. This encroachment issue has been going on with you for 30 years. No one's done anything. But now they want me because your son ran against me. Now I'm supposed to take it out on you or something. And I told the father, I'm like, I'm not being part of that. We're just, we're playing on. Mm-hmm. And then on the podcast, Jason Dean says that I did that because there's a friend of mine who's encroaching and I didn't want to hold him accountable. So that's why I let his dad off. Mm-hmm. And I called up his dad and I said, guess what? You're gonna tear down everything that's on our property because these guys think a quid pro quo. That's not gonna stand. I don't do any quid pro quos. So then his father said, "Hey, why don't you meet Brad?" So I met Brad again. And I'll be honest with you. I told his dad. I said, "Well, first time he lies to me, I'll be leaving. Well, I'll sit down and have a beer with him." He didn't lie to me. Every question I asked him, he answered truthfully, and they'll stay with him and myself.
Do you feel like he was lying during the campaign?
Absolutely.
About what?
Well, the road, the Mercy Woods. Do you think that if we were going to put a field of a Mercy Woods and they were going to pay for it, would you think I'd just say I don't like you, so I'm going to say no? I met with him.
Which you kind of can't do anyway.
You can't do a private thing like he can't. No, there's bureaucratic obstacles in the way of doing it.
You can't just say no. Like,
no, I couldn't. I could say no, but then you could bring it to the council.
Right,
but who would say no?
Right.
And I met with Bill Murray, former mayor, at an industrial road. And they wanted to put baseball fields on. I said, well, I don't think baseball is going to just do it, so maybe there'd be a multi-purpose. So they had someone actually draw a plan up.
I'm sorry, Industrial Road is Boys and Girls Club, correct?
No, Industrial Road is, the old Ravenous Brewery.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it Industrial Road or Industrial Drive?
Industrial Drive.
Yeah, it's Drive. No matter how many times somebody tell me, I always get it wrong. Yeah. Right? So we met there, and so they designed a plan, but there was never we'll pay for it. No, that was not true. Now, were they going to put money into it? Yeah. But were they going to pay for the whole show? No.
And they wanted funding from the town in order to
no,
do that?
the problem at Mercy was, first of all, there's a couple issues, right? But there's no water there. You would need to bring irrigation. If you're going to have some fields up there, you got to be able to water them,
Yeah.
right? And then there was, so the town does own, at the time, there was a certain length of time before the town could do whatever they wanted up there. But you still have to respect the Sisters of Mercy and their operation as well. And so it was just preliminary. But you have to understand, too, we were still in the midst of the Diamond Hill Park planning. So I wasn't going to pitch tent and forget about Diamond Hill Park and then move up to this other thing. My feeling was, we're going to finish this one, and then we could then, if there's going to be something there, we'll move on to that. Well, and at the time, it was pre-COVID, so we thought we were good to go, and maybe that $2.5 million could be put into something if the powers that be decided that was a good idea. But I wasn't going to I was hedging my bets at that time. I'm not going to spend any money that I maybe don't have.
Yeah.
And then what do you end up doing? You can't get this one done, and you can't get that one done, so you end up getting
two
nothing right.
projects.
So you finish the one that you have, and that was exactly how that went down. Everybody did everything they could to win that election, and we won every polling place.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Just for the record, every polling place. And so, you asked me, was he untruthful? Yes. I've had conversations with him, and as I told you, the last time, we met over beer, and I told his dad, I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions. And when he lies to me, the first time he lies to me, I'm going to move on because there's nothing in it for me. I don't hold a grudge at all. This is how it works. And he didn't lie to me once.
Good.
There you go. We move on.
Moving forward.
Yeah, we move on.
So for somebody that's looking to get into politics, what would be the first step that you recommend them to do? Would it be public service? Like what was the first kind of things that you did in your career to get into politics, to be noticed, to kind of start learning about the town that you were going to be running for?
Nothing. I literally was not on a board, had not done anything. I was at the family business. Like I said, we would run every day, and I obviously had it wasn't in electoral politics, but he kind of talked me into it.
Yeah.
And I learned on the fly. And I will tell you, when I got elected, I was scared out of my brain.
Yeah.
And I spent every night educating myself on as much as I could possibly. It was part of the reason why, I retired at one point, because it was influencing, my family life.
Really?
I was putting that much time into it, and probably ultimately led to me, getting divorced. But I felt such responsibility that I put a lot of effort into understanding how it works. And then I was fortunate to be on with some very credentialed council people like Dave Chenevier, Lorraine Hines, Terry Melvin. They were Tony Nobrega, who were on the other side, but were still very good public servants, right? And very good council people who knew their stuff. So I had to grow up fast. So, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say it was killed to be killed, but I needed to pick up fast, because other than that, they're going to run over me. And listen, the competitive part of me is, you might win, but I'm going to make you work for it.
What's one of the most memorable moments you've had as being a mayor?
Oh, being the mayor. Oof. I've gotten to meet people I would never have gotten to meet, right? And 99.9% of them have been good. They've been good experiences, right? And learn a lot. And like I say, I can pretty much go to days and not wish I didn't see one or two people, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Only because, maybe it didn't end so well. But it's very few. But there's just been so many of them. I mean, they're like I said, if you think about the lodge and like that was a big project. But that pump track, that one, on a personal level, because I didn't know anything about it, and in the emails I've gotten on that are, that it had an impact. Those are the ones that you remember. But I can tell you too, every single time I thought I wanted to get out of this thing, whether it be on the council or school committee, there was always somebody who either called me, emailed me, texted me or something at just the right time to give you just that little bit to say, okay.
Just when I thought I was
that
out,
four
they
vote.
pulled me back
No,
in.
but it was, yeah, there'd be somebody who give you a little nod of encouragement or something, and they were always there. I think I'm a lot better than I was when I first got, because I was saying, I would, I could mix it up with you if you wanted to mix it up, but ultimately you have to learn to I think you mature into the role a little bit, and not because not everyone votes for the other person because they don't like you or they don't think you are doing a good job. It's because they have a relationship, and I said that to Brad too. I think he thought that he knows a lot of people, that's all you need, but you need more than that.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is the biggest thing that you need to get those 4 votes?
I think you have to earn it. It takes time, right? I think you have to be as authentic as you can be.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Right.
That's
good. Then you need to be consistent. It's like, and when people don't go your way, you can't beat them over the head, because you just got to move to the next one. So each individual issue is an attempt for you to make your best argument, and you should always be looking to improve your argument, right? Because it's just like, athletic or whatever. I got to be the best I can be. If I'm going to race somebody in a 5K or something like that, my best chance of winning is being the best I can be, right? So I work on that, and it's the same thing. These are all individual arguments to me. I make my best argument. Now, some days it's terrible. Some days it's really bad. Other days I think it's pretty good, right? But but how do you make your best argument? Preparation, right? If you stay at it, you prepare properly, and then ultimately at the end you've got to trust that you did those things, and then you just let it out, right? Then you just you give people what they need, and you let them decide. And over the 28 years, that has worked well. Did I win every vote? No. People get mad. Oh, it was 7-0. How come it's always 7-0? People think that when you get consensus, they think it's easy. They think everybody's just going along to get along. That's not true. You have to spend a lot of time to establish a relationship where people trust what you say, that they don't think you're just blowing smoke. But everybody, and so and yeah, I've invested time in that and been fortunate to be in these positions with good people who we've been able to have conversations with. Some of them have been, they've been a little tense. Yeah. But we've been able to get past them, and I think most people are looking for the same thing.
Yeah, it's part of it. Those tense conversations are needed.
Yeah, I mean, it happens in every relationship.
Well, you need two perspectives. You need 2 point of views, and if you're doing the same thing all the time, that leads to what? It leads to comfortability. It leads to insanity. It just leads to stuff that you need to be uncomfortable once in a while.
Yes. Then I look at it this way. I get up. I go home tonight. I'm like, maybe I'll spend a few minutes, saying, well, you did all right today? You're not doing it. Then I forget about it, and then tomorrow I try to be better. Yeah. If I get up every day thinking I was all that in a bag of chips, right? Yeah. What would I do, right? No growth. I got to try to be better. Now, my best today, even athletically, is not what it was, 30 years ago, but it can be better than it was, 2 months ago. And so that's the way I look at it. I think I don't want to just get up and say, yeah, it's good enough. I want to be pushing it every day.
Did you learn that from your dad, having the business and kind of seeing him operate a business? Because that's a tough business to have.
Well, my dad.
What was your dad like?
That wasn't work from my dad. My dad was.
That's cool.
He was. He was. I would never be as good as my dad was at that. He was born for that. He was like a born salesman too. So he was very good at. You talk about not. All the things that he was really good at, I am not good at. And really? But he, so no, he was born. That was not work for him. He had done that every day and did it most of the time.
That's probably why he was so successful.
And he's just, he loved that. He loved that. And he had a gift of, the gift of gab and stuff like that. But he was, he was. I couldn't touch that. Yeah, he couldn't run very much. He wasn't very athletic. I could beat him in that.
I was going to say, I'm sure there's something that you're doing better.
Oh,
than
he was never. I just had a partial knee replacement. Everybody, it's the running, it's this, and I said that's baloney. My dad never ran a step in his life. He had both his knees done.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, it's heredity. I mean, it's just you get old, and but I mean, give me a break, So
what's next? Are you after your
2028?
Yeah,
what's
2028 plans?
I have no idea what I that always frustrates people too. I do not. I know you're supposed to, but I have been fortunate to really never have had, a plan. To be honest with you,
Just gonna go where the wind takes
you. I'm like a destiny guy. I say that's another one of my tired lines that I tell everybody. Destiny's taking me where it's taking me, and I'm along for the ride. And I remain open to other possibilities, but I don't see, as far as political office no, I don't see any of that. And
you're hanging it up.
Yeah, it wasn't. I want to get some things done, and I like a challenge. And I think I probably did tell you the only reason I ran for mayor was at a council meeting.
Yeah.
Levy. They were talking about the tax levy, and the mayor came up to me while I was sitting in the council chamber and started flicking some papers in my face. And I
you did tell me about this.
I said to myself, I could forget half of what I know about this, and I still know 50 times more than you do. And if you're going to treat someone who has helped you, by the way, with this issue, you're going to treat somebody like that who has helped you. I don't know how you would treat somebody else sitting there. And I'll tell you what, you might win, and you're probably going to win, but you're going to have an opponent. And I'd like to tell people it was more of a principled stand that I ran for office because I had this, that, and the next thing, but it was the previous mayor dared me to do it.
And was that the year you
and
got
I took him up on
competition.
it. Yeah,
that's the good. I love that.
That's a good end.
So.
That's a great story. Well, Mayor Mutter, we appreciate you coming on. Is this your first podcast?
It is my first podcast.
Excellent. We feel honored. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, I like I say, took us a year,
Yeah.
but I'm glad you stuck with
Thanks
it.
for holding out for us.
Yeah.
Hey, it's consistency.
Well, I have been asked by the other podcasts, and I have told them no. Yeah, there is a standard. There is a standard.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming on. Do you
Thank
guys
you.
have any questions?
That was a lot. That was
All right,
great.
good.
That was a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's wrap it up. Thank you, Mayor Mutter.
Good luck. Thank you.
you.